Yeah, I'm about to say something that's about to seriously hurt some feelings. So, if you're sensitive, you might want to go ahead and dismiss yourself. Um, for starters, and someone's got to say so, it might as well be me. For starters, do you think, by any chance in hell, if white people were not fighting for your freedom, you'd be out here free today? I mean, I'm curious. Oh, I know, I'm hitting a fucking very sensitive topic here. Do you think you'd for real be out here free today if it weren't for white people that y'all hate so much? Hmm? Stop for just one fucking second and think about that. I'll answer it for you. Nope, no chance in hell. You think, by any chance in hell, if white people were not fighting for your freedom, you'd be out here free?
Yeah, what really makes you think we wouldn't be free today? Obviously, your teachers and your parents didn't teach you anything about the slave rebellions or the Gullah Wars. The slaves were starting to free themselves from them sun-dodging, lipless, funky snow roaches y'all call ancestors. But shout out to the white people that were actually fighting for the freedoms of all men, but you got to be out your rabbit ass mind if you didn't think the slaves were already starting to free themselves. Yes, a lot of white people fought and died for our freedom, but we were also taking our freedom. That's the side of history they don't want to tell you. So please don't sit there and try to toot your own horn, because if you're going to tell the story, tell the whole story, not just the side that makes you look good. Because the whole story does say that white folks did help free the slaves because the slaves were already starting to rebel and free themselves before the war started. But it's just not talked about or mentioned enough in the history books. Why is that?
Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to make a quick comment about some of these people that call themselves African Americans who have no way of finding out what their genealogy is other than a DNA test from an online source. But you're Americans, okay? And you have dark skin. I get it. But before you start bashing people about the white privilege, first of all, where is it? I want to see it because I'm not seeing it. Number two, you talk about reparations and all this other stuff. Then why don't you tell me why the white man is so bad when they, lost their life defending slavery to be abolished? Over 600,000 of them.
We're not fighting for your freedom. You'd be out here free today? I mean, I'm curious.
Y'all auntie tired. Can one of y'all get her? Can y'all pack her up, please? Please pack her up. Auntie tired.
I never knew that white people were heroes until today. I never knew that without white people, black people wouldn't have been free. I never knew that every single effort or every single achievement that black people have literally achieved, it is from the result of a white person. You know, when these people talk, they don't filter their words. They don't see anything before saying it. You can imagine a woman, a white woman having the audacity to open her mouth and she's telling black people that we should be grateful. We should be grateful that if not for white people, we wouldn't have the freedom we have today. It's hilarious. And you see these kind of people, you think they have sense until you hear the nonsense coming out of their mouths. But anyways, I will allow the other clip I have so that you can hear people's response roll out before I say whatever I want to say at the end of this video. And credit to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, also joining my membership. I did not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. With that being said, let's roll out the clips. I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go watch, guys.
About to seriously hurt some feelings. So,
She did not, in fact, say anything that was going to hurt anybody's feelings. In fact, what Savannah here did was regurgitate the same bullshit we've heard for about, 80 years. Same script, new package. Savannah, do you think you're the first white woman to have this fucking take? You know what? Hold off on answering that question for just a second, Savannah. Just a second. Savannah, do you work? Do you have a job, Savannah? Do you? Do you have a checking account? How about a credit card? You know how many black women fought for you to get that? See, there was a time, Savannah, before you became a racist biscuit head, that women could not even open their own checking accounts. And it was women, including women of color, that fought for your right to do so. Oh, I'm sorry, Savannah. Did I just fuck up your life? I genuinely don't care. Let me continue, Savannah. You know, unions fought for your right to have a weekend. There were black union people that fought for that, Savannah. Savannah, you dropped out of high school, didn't you? Savannah, if I told you that Abraham Lincoln didn't give two flying fucks about slavery, would you be surprised? He didn't. He just wanted to preserve the Union. He even said that in one of those books that you're running from. You really thought this was a hot take, didn't you? This shit is lukewarm at best. At most, it's cold piss on a plate in the snow. And what made you so bold to do this, Savannah? What made you so bold? There are people out here right now fighting for your fucking dumbass right to vote. But you wouldn't know it because I don't fucking know. And that, Savannah, is the most tragic part about all of this. You don't know history. You're emboldened by an idiot in the White House. And this racism shit that you're doing, this shit don't fit. Them shoes ain't your size, baby. Them shoes are not your size. How is it that we can talk about racism and you think we hate white people? Why, Savannah? Are you saying that all white people are racist? Are you copping pleas for something, Savannah? Are you? Are you maybe copping a plea that you might actually be racist? Is that what you're doing? Because if it is, it's fine, Savannah. Nobody really gives a fuck. But I would think that'd be something I'd want to hide. Savannah, look at me. Look at me. I have been doing the TikTok social media thing for almost 6 years. And in almost 6 years, I have heard the same variation of racist dog whistling, gaslighting bullshit that fell out of your thorax from different people in different ways, but all saying the same thing. Like me, I white, I no do nothing. Nobody is saying that you did, child. You over here feeling guilty for some shit nobody even fucking put on you. You do understand that, right? You were copping pleas for shit ain't nobody asked you to cop a plea for. And for what? Did the white guys that follow you that want to fuck you, did they give you a pat on the back? Did they give you a cookie? Did they? Savannah, your biggest ops are men that look just like you. White ones. Stay out of the business of people that you want so desperately to be like, but you can't. Go crack open a history book. And maybe avoid the mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging, heavy-arsenaled, take my AR-15 to Chipotle mass shooters that you somehow continue to have sex with and breed with. We're not your problem, Savannah. We're not. Once again, I give 0 points for the topic. I give 0 points for the I'm going to hurt some people's feelings because you didn't. I give you 2 points for at least doing it in broad daylight and not hiding your face. But your overall grade for this cold piss in the fucking winter ass take is an F minus.
Let me tell you something about white people, right? White people want to be the villain and the superhero in the movie. So let me tell you what didn't happen. White people didn't free or help free the slaves. White people did not buy California, Texas, or Arizona. White people do not have Indian in their blood. White people did not come to America as settlers. They came to America as immigrants. And Jesus Christ is not white. Everything that you ever learned about white people that's considered to be great is a lie.
Pop that white supremacist bubble right now. No white person that has ever existed or will exist to have ever fought harder for black liberation than black people. Let me tell you some things. From the very shores of West Africa, where black people were fighting for their relatives back. So many slave insurrections, so many boat insurrections, so many attempts at liberation, to the point where they chose the water, they chose the sea rather than being enslaved, to the very shores of the United States, where there were so many slave insurrections that it ended up in the Declaration of Independence. You can read it. To the Civil War itself, to every runaway, to every person who chose to escape, or who chose death rather than further living through slavery, to those who even resisted by living through slavery so they could tell the story. No white person ever fought harder for black liberation than black people. Okay? Just because you never learned about it, just because your education system failed you, does not mean that those things didn't exist. Okay? So we don't owe it to anybody. In fact, for the folks who did choose to fight for black liberation, it was owed to us. They were righting a wrong. Congratulations on cleaning up the mess that y'all people made. So, just the same way I wouldn't congratulate my child for cleaning up the mess that she made on the floors, the way I'm not congratulating any white person who signed up to fight a civil war, which was based on money, not on morality. Let's get that straight. It's the same way I'm not congratulating anyone for that. Black people fought for our liberation and continue to fight for our liberation to this day. Stop being embarrassing. Pick up some books. If you need some suggestions, I can actually give them to you.
This lady said, I have never heard that, and I've lived in the United States for 62 years. The United States was founded by our forefathers and was talking about men and women who have died for this country so we can have freedom. And then she wrote some more, and she's talking back to me after I told her that my ancestors were considered property when the United States got its independence. And she's saying she's never heard of that. But she's saying she's been here for 62 years. Honestly, ma'am, shame on you. You've been around 62 years and you telling me you don't know the full history of this country. You telling me that you was not aware that when this country got its independence, that black people were slaves, that black people were considered property, that black people weren't considered people. You probably also don't know that the Constitution was not talking about black people when it was talking about, it considers all men equal. It was not talking about black people. Because black people considered property, they weren't considered humans. They weren't even considered second-class citizens at that time. I think you really need to go read some history books. Matter of fact, you can go to my showcase and there's a book that'll help you a whole bunch. Black people did not get their freedom from slavery because people cared about black people or anything else. It had everything to do with keeping the South united. You obviously don't know much of anything. Matter of fact, we just had a holiday not too long ago, Juneteenth, that was celebrating some of the last slaves get out of slavery. Some of the last slaves to get out of slavery, to stop being slaves, were in the early 1900s. Even though slavery was supposed to be ended around 1865, it was not. People still had slaves all the way up into the early 1900s. And then if we get into it, slavery was not the only problem that we had in this country. You obviously don't know about Jim Crow, and you should be old enough to even remember the Civil Rights Movement. You're old enough to know when that happened. You're old enough to know when black people were fighting to have the same rights, the same everything as white people. Only in today's world would you even be able to say we really have close to the same rights. And there's still a lot of oppression going on. There's still people saying that DEI is not supposed to be there, even though it was put into place to help black people after they've been oppressed for, 300, 400 years? By people who look like you. Probably your ancestors. And even if your ancestors came from somewhere else, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have had any problem with slavery, because slavery was not just a United States thing or American thing. It was a European thing. And Africa's still being oppressed right now. Ma'am, please go through your history. I had the time today. I'm deeply disappointed. This is one of the problems that we talk about, is how many people don't know the history, and they're quick to say stuff like, oh, slavery ended, thinking that's the only problem that black people have with this country. And then you got the nerve to justify slavery with saying slaves were in the Bible. I'm gonna help you understand something. The slaves in the Bible were indentured servants. They would work for a certain amount of time and then they would get their freedom. That's not what transatlantic slavery was. Not to mention, slaves in the Bible, anybody could be a slave. Somebody that was your own people could be a slave, to somebody from a different land could be a slave. But in transatlantic slavery, the slaves were black people. And for the few other people who had to do indentured servitude or work or were oppressed in this country, they didn't have it near as bad as black people. Black people were considered property. Get that through your head. That was not the case in indentured servitude. The Bible was not talking about transatlantic slavery when it was talking about slavery. You are very ignorant, and I hope you go learn something from this. I hope you go read a book. And I hope anybody watching this who thinks the same as her go reads a book. Or you can come talk to me on my live, and I guarantee you I'll let you know everything you need to know. And I'm gonna let you know that it's not okay to be ignorant. And it's not okay to say stuff like that. It's not cool, and we're not putting up with it no more. I said I didn't celebrate Independence Day because when my ancestors were around during Independence Day, they weren't earning their independence. It was people that looked like you that was earning their independence. People fought for the privileges so you could keep your privileges, not so people like me could be free or have privileges. Don't talk to me about why I don't celebrate that day.
Did you know that white people consider it to be a mental illness for black people to want to be free? Because they really thought that they were doing black people a favor by enslaving us. In 1851, Dr. Samuel Cartwright determined that enslaving people was a form of helping them, and that escaping slavery was a mental illness called drapetomania. They were flogged until their backs literally shredded. Women were whipped and children were raped. They whipped and they were chained, they screamed, and they didn't care. These white doctors wrote it in their journals as treatment. Freedom was considered to be illegal and pathologized as being insane, such as people like Harriet Tubman, right? Wanting to be free, wanting to let people know they consider her to be insane. But on the other hand, white rebels, they screamed for liberty and they got whole monuments. Black rebels were tortured. They were erased and they were forgotten. But this is the truth that they don't want you to know. This is Black AF History by Michael Harriet, and I encourage every person to read this book. It's already sold out once this month, so if you see that orange or yellow card below, make sure you grab it while it's still there.
I've been seeing a lot of my people in comments trying to figure out why white Americans are so upset and enraged that black people are trying to fight for their rights, their civil rights, their human rights. And I'm going to be the one to tell you that black people was imported here. We were never intended to have rights. After the Europeans committed a whole mass genocide towards the Native Americans, they didn't have any workers. So you know what they did? They went to Africa and they stole us and brought us here. Our whole purpose of being here was to do work and not get paid for it. Was to be treated like property. We were money. We were property. We were money. It was literally taught to dehumanize us and not see us as people. America was not built on the conscience of accepting anybody outside of themselves. So hell yeah, they're mad. Hell yeah, they're mad. They don't have no other sense of community besides coming together to spew hatred and using the Bible to back it up. I mean, they were so upset about the fact that Lyndon Johnson granted all black people federally the right to vote as well as the DEI Act that they just switched parties. They were so mad that we had a say-so in who runs this country because we are citizens here, that they decided to go from Democrats to Republicans, and that's where all that shit started.
Why is it still this hard to see black people as human? Not just here in America, but in Latin America and across the globe. Anti-blackness is the one thing I can never fully wrap my head around. How does us existing after a world spent centuries trying to strip us of our autonomy, our history, our humanity, how does that offend you so much? This is the question I need to ask the right, the racist, the detractors. Do you think I want to do this every day? Do you think we want to keep fighting for our history to be told, for our reality to be heard, for a single ounce of humanity from the country we come from? Can you imagine how exhausting that is? As a white person, you couldn't fathom a single day as a black person. Constantly othered, constantly called a liar, told you're not American even though this country wouldn't exist without you, and you wouldn't exist without it. Our food, our language, our heritage, the very DNA created on this soil through ethnogenesis. And after all of that, after building a culture, a people, a country, you watch your story get twisted, you watch your labor get stolen, your culture repackaged by the people in power and sold back as their own invention. You watch violence against you become so normalized, it turned into a family outing. You brought your children to watch my ancestors get strung up on trees. So don't act surprised that in 2026, you still lack empathy to see us fully as human. Why fight that reality? Because that's a harsh truth. Because violence, death, and lying about both to cast yourselves as the benevolent savior, that's the culture you built. Then you gaslight us as a nation. Tell us if we just worked harder, our lives would look like yours. And every single time we got close, you burned the town down. You used eminent domain to seize what we built. You wrote the laws yourself to make sure we couldn't do better than you. I want white people to actually answer this in the comments if this reaches you, because the lack of empathy I see online is staggering. Your culture, your history, your modern world was built on the erasure of indigenous people and the enslavement of Africans. And somehow, 60 years removed from Jim Crow and segregation, the response is, that was so long ago, none of that matters. All you guys do is make everything about race, not the race card. And I will never understand that level of cognitive dissonance. And this isn't unique to just America. This exists where we all exist. Take Haiti, a country I will always be proud of. Haiti did the unthinkable, told Europe enough was enough and won. Ended slavery, expelled the colonizers, and for that, the West has spent 2 centuries punishing them for it, crippling their economy, forcing them to pay reparations to the people who enslaved them. White men going to Haiti in the 90s, bringing HIV by exploiting their women and children for sex, stripping their resources, and lying about them in the media the entire time. All because they dared to win. When people talk about a culture of violence, a refusal to see other people as human, look at the record. King Leopold killed 20 million Congolese and posed for photos with the severed hands of children. Germany carried out its first genocide in Namibia, and across the Americas, European colonization is tied to the deaths of tens of millions of indigenous people. A death toll so staggering, it reshaped the climate of a hemisphere that isn't even called by its real name, because it's definitely not called America. And yet, so much of what is vibrant in this world, what you enjoy, what you pay to consume, is the byproduct of our survival. Black American sounds with our music are heard in every corner of the earth. Latin American food, music, and dance. Colombia, Brazil, Peru, Chile, Mexico, Haiti. You can't ignore where it comes from. Your world would be unbearingly boring without us. But you still don't want to hear our reality. You still don't want to sit with our fight for equity. And I'll say this, you guys are lucky we're not asking for revenge and we're only asking for a seat at the table for equity. Because if you experience a fraction of what we have and continue to, you would not survive it. You would fail and you would falter. I use my voice and my platform to talk about these histories because the modern world was shaped by the victors, and the victors just so happen to be European. That's why the Holocaust is taught as the singular worst atrocity in human history. Not because it wasn't horrific, it was, but because the people who suffered it happened to be European. You comment something racist under my videos. When you insist these histories don't matter in 2026, you're not an outlier. You're doing exactly what the post colonial world was built for you to do, telling the world that only the Eurocentric version of history counts, and the rest of us, we're just collateral of the empires. It's exhausting being black sometimes, and I still wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world, and I would never want to be anything else on earth. Stay black, stay blessed.
Anyways, welcome back, guys. Hope you guys literally enjoyed every single clip I was able to roll out for you guys. And I first of all love the reply that was coming from every different angle, because at the end of the day, I don't know what will make a white person to think that they were literally our savior. For crying out loud, a lot of things that we're going through today, you people put us into those things. You people make black people to look like they don't have value. You people created that name whiteness for yourself, to exalt yourself and make it look like you're ruling over us. If not because we stood our ground as black people and we decided that nothing can actually limit us, slavery cannot limit us, segregation, Jim Crow, and whatsoever that has come true cannot limit us. And a lot of white people, a lot of black people stood out for themselves and became what they are today. And the only thing that this woman who said is for black people to be grateful. What do we what are we supposed to be grateful for? I think maybe she wants us to be grateful for slavery. She wants us to be grateful for segregation. She wants us to be grateful for Jim Crow. She wants us to be grateful for redlining. She wants us to be grateful for all the pupilling that they have been pupilling black people. She wants us to be grateful for all the crimes that they literally say black people committed. And at the end of the day, black people never committed that crime. She wants us to be grateful for all the atrocities they have done. She wants us to be grateful for all the lynchings that has gone through black people. So I think that is actually what she wanted us to be grateful about. See, I don't feel like most of these people, if they want to trend, I keep saying it, the only way they feel they can trend is to go ahead and trend with black people's name. They just want to involve black people. They just want to say something about black people so that at the end of the day, they know that black people will definitely react. But this is one thing we are assuring them. We're not going to keep quiet and watch you just say whatsoever you want to say as if you're 100% right. We are literally going to say our mind as well. We are literally going to reply. We're literally going to say anything to defend ourselves as well. White people has never been savior to black people, as far as I'm concerned. There have never been a day that white people have been saviors to black people. Even a lot of them right now that are telling you that they are out from racism, they no longer want to do racism, it's because they have done racism countless times and they see that it was actually not profitable. They've seen that racism did not pay bills. They've seen that, oh, there's no point of me keep doing this particular thing I'm doing. That is why a lot of them are changing, not because they don't just want to be racist, or not because they don't just want to be problems to black people. They have once in their lifetime been problems, okay? And that's why I keep saying upbringing matters a lot, because at the end of the day, imagine a child that this particular kind of person saying this kind of thing is actually fathering, mothering. What do you think will come up of that child? Nothing, absolutely. Racism will still be what will come up of that child. So white people has never helped and they will never help. In fact, if they have an opportunity for them to send black people back to the field to pick cutters, a lot of them are going to do it. I can tell you for the whole fact. If they have an opportunity for slavery to continue, a lot of them will be slave masters. They will be slave masters, and that is why whenever you talk about the things of reparation, they don't want to hear about anything reparation. They don't want to hear it at all, because it's even paining a lot of them that black people are free. It's paining a lot of them that they have ruled that as a crime against humanity. It's paining a lot of them that at the end of the day, what they actually want to do, they can no longer do it, based on the fact that, you see, with the Gen Zs, we are not ready to look at your face twice. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section, and credit to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, guys, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be Simba and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.